Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jedel Kabiru. It's always a pleasure to have you joining us for conversations which I hope will help our leaders in making better policy and political decisions. These conversations, of course, come to you in a very simple nature and unbiased with Herman Manyora, the hard hitter. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm okay.
We're going to have a simple conversation about UDA. The Secretary General of UDA, Cleophas Malala, says there's an impending battle within the succession of the party. Says there are 3 deputy secretary general, deputy party leader positions, and we only have 1 party leader, who is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as of now. Yes. He says, look, if these positions continue to be according to the constitution, it's going to be very difficult for them to have 1 party leader who's going to stand, which is the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Should there be 3 positions when you look at the politics of UDA? Because it seems like it's going to be either Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula coming in with their parties. Of course, Musalia Mudavadi says they will have this conversation whether they'll join UDA or not. And what does this mean for Rigathi Gachagua?
I think, to me, this is a very simple yet complex thing. If you introduce another deputy party leader so that he works alongside 2 other deputy party leaders to work alongside Rigathi Gachagua, what are you saying? You are diluting Rigathi Gachagua's powers. We saw it in 1966 when Jaramogi's powers were watered down by introducing 8 regional vice presidents. That effectively meant Jaramogi had ceased to be important. And that's why he left immediately after the Limuru conference that created 8 along the lines of the previous 8 provinces. So that Rift Valley had their own, which was now Moi, then there was Nyanza, Western, Nairobi, and all those kind of things. I don't know that Nairobi was one of them. But you see, it is obvious that you will injure the sitting deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, if you introduce that kind of thing. And therefore, to me, it doesn't require a lot of thinking. Why would you start a honest nest, to use a cliche? Yeah. Why would you unnecessarily do that?
Why do you think this conversation is happening now? Because it has been in the constitution since the beginning. But for Cleophas Malala, it's more like it should be automatically. The way the party leader is for William Ruto, the deputy party leader should be automatic for Rigathi Gachagua. Why are we having this conversation now?
Because, first of all, because there are elections around the corner for UDA, if they are not already happening. Secondly, the conversation around dissolving the sister parties within Kenya Kwanza, to have them like ANC and Ford Kenya and the rest of these people join UDA, then certainly means you'll have to come face to face with what do you do with Mudavadi?
Okay.
If he falls ANC, what do you do with the Tangula if he falls Ford Kenya? Does he become just another party member? He was a party leader. Now he's joining UDA. You want him just to be there like another party member. So the question of you need to give them something sizable. Then you look at the constitution and say, it already provides for 2 positions of deputy party leader extra. So 3 in total. But you must take into consideration the impact of that. And I've repeatedly said this, and I've always hoped that in his own interest, not in my interest, in his own interest, William Ruto does listen to me. Play with Mount Kenya at your own peril. Simple. Moi knew this thing. I know people have never understood, and I've said this many times. You cannot lead this country if you ignore 2 communities. It's just a fact. There's nothing special about them, but it's just a fact. You cannot ignore Luos, you cannot ignore Gikuyusi. It's a simple fact. For now, it has been like that, and it may change, and I would rather it changes. And it's not even about population, because Luos are not even number 3. They'll hate to hear that, but the truth is they used to be number 2. They went to number 3. They are now around number 4. They could even be number 5 tomorrow, number 6. But they are powerful. You cannot ignore them. The Gikuyus, people are saying they are number 1. They may actually be number 2. But Luhya is a number 2. that right?
Yes.
But you can ignore them in this country. It's unfortunate, I'm a lawyer. But it's unfortunate, you can ignore us. And nothing will happen. That's what Natembe is trying to address. The Tawe
yes,
movement.
the Tawe.
That how can people who are so popular, number two, actually we are almost number one. Any census that doesn't bring lawyers as number one will be a cooked census. But yet we are not important. So I'm saying it will be foolhardy on the part of UDA to antagonize Rigathi Gachagua.
I want us to talk about something that you've said. You cannot ignore Mount Kenya, you cannot ignore the Luo Nation. Yes. If Ruto decides, I can work with Raila, Musalia Mudavadi, probably try to inherit Raila's vote, because Raila hasn't been getting votes from Mount Kenya. You can say he has been ignoring, or Mount Kenya hasn't voted for him. You can choose. But if Ruto decides to go that way, ignore Rigathi Gachagua, ignore Mount Kenya, let me try to do the Raila way. And in fact, Raila has won elections. You've said that severally.
Yes.
How will that work for Ruto?
You know, first of all, there is a natural reaction of Raila's colleagues, Kalonzo and the rest. If he is going to choose to work with Ruto instead of Uhuru Kenyatta and Mount Kenya and the rest of these people, there's a natural reaction he must expect. And that will affect therefore Ruto. But more importantly, how far will Ruto go if we were to ignore the Kikuyus? Because you really pain them. Because what we are saying here is that he looks at the Gikuyu nation, the Mount Kenya people in the eyes and tell them, go to hell. That's what we are saying. Please, he might be the first to go to hell instead of them. These are the guys who hold this country in their hands. Moi never ignored Kikuyus. There's this stupid narrative that Kikuyu suffered under Moi. A big lie. Moi worked with all the Kikuyu leadership. From church to business to all of them. They are the ones who propped Moi in power. Without them, Moi would not have been president of this country throughout the 24 years. People are only seeing Kamoto only. But the powerful forces in the community were working with Moi. That's why they maintained their grip on the economy of this country. He never ruffled them. Issues of coffee and tea, you can see. I have always told people, you got it all wrong. The cooperative movement was very good. They're almost the best in Africa. Very good even in the world. But we messed it up ourselves. That's why coffee collapsed. That's why tea collapsed. That is how come. Moi has been gone for more than 20 years. The people in power have mainly been Kikuyus, Kibaki and Uhuru. Have they sorted out that mess? If it was Moi who caused the mess, how come Kibaki 10 years didn't sort out the mess in coffee and industry? If it is Moi who messed the Kikuyu agriculture, dairy farming, coffee, tea, how come another 10 years of Uhuru Kenyatta Kikuyu didn't sort out? So it's Moi never really ignored the Kikuyus. It is a simple fact of the politics of this nation. Because that is what it would amount to if he chose to work with Raila and Mudavadi. He will have to reckon with the Kikuyu force. And it will be rough for him.
Then we look at the...
It will be rough. They say there are many everywhere, including the mortuary.
Let's look at the second alternative that William Ruto has. Of course, they're diluting this office of the deputy party leader if the 2 seats remain there. And then Cleophas Malala says we'll have to amend it. But what if they say we're going to leave it as it is, but then if you don't want it leave, we'll still have Ndindi Nyoro, who seems to be well liked by Mount Kenya region, not completely ignoring Mount Kenya, but ignoring Rigathi Gachagua.
You think Kikuyus are very stupid? You get somebody whom they have now seen to be their person, who is going somewhere. A man you can't take lightly, a fighter, and the Kikuyu is like a jamba, a fighter. Now you replace him with a boy. I'm sorry to say a boy, but just, that's how, boy in that way. Nobody's saying Ndindi Nyoro is a boy. This is a man with his own, really. Yeah.
But politically?
He's my son, of course. I can call him a boy because he's my son, okay? But politically speaking, if you take Rigathi, who is so close to power, who has shown his mantle, who has obviously acquitted himself, and then you say, go home, and we are giving you Ndindi Nyoro. the Kikuyu nation is not that stupid. They will not buy that.
Yeah.
They will not buy that. Because you can't handle this Rigathi Gachagua. So you are giving us somebody you can put here.
Oh.
Or put in your pocket. We will not buy it. It won't work. So my advice to Ruto is simple. Play your politics, but play safe. Leave Mount Kenya where they are. Let Gachagua remain the deputy president. But whether you choose to support him in 2032 or not, that may be another story. But for now and 2027, make that mistake. Even the most useless Kikuyu, if they run for president, if you play your game in such a way, you ambush Rigathi Gachagua. The deadline for nominating your deputy comes at a point Gachagua can now run for president. You know these timelines.
Yes.
You need a political party, you need this, and it's too late. So he can't run. And now you have taken Musalia Mudavadi. Kikuyus, if there is a Kikuyu candidate, and of course there will be a Kikuyu candidate, whether it will be Jimmy Wanjigi, whether it will be Mother, because if mother is mistreated within, as Emilio, she could say she's running. But she will be, whatever Kikuyu will be on the ballot, he or she will get all Kikuyu votes, all of them.
Even if it's Jimmy Wanjigi, because
that will spell doom, because first of all that means there's a runoff. Obvious it will be a runoff between Ruto, whoever, and that Kikuyu.
Now we'll get 50+1.
Now, runoffs are the politics of runoff, or is it running off?
Yeah.
Hey, very tricky. Very tricky.
How so?
People pull out of their cupboards things. It becomes very tricky. It is never that. Let's say you have a situation where number one gets 48%, so he has missed. Is not at 50%, and number two is at 25%, and number three is at 10%, and so on and so forth. So obvious, you will all imagine and believe that this guy who got 48% in the runoff will win. It's rarely like that.
The other two can combine.
Yeah. The number two who had 25%, in the case, example you can quote is George Weah, the first time he ran. He ran for politics, for office of president of Liberia. He was number one by a very huge margin, but not 50% in the runoff.
The others combined.
Yeah. So it's not a game I would advise Ruto to play. It's too risky. What for?
I want us to also talk about Musalia Mudavadi, because you're saying let Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua be as he is in his position. But of course, if Musalia Mudavadi comes to UDA, things cannot be constant. What does this mean for Musalia Mudavadi and Ruto trying to fix Musalia Mudavadi? Because I don't think there will be a prime cabinet UDA leader. What does this mean?
You know, it's very difficult for Musalia Mudavadi. Unless he's given the running mate position, the lawyers will not take him serious. He will not help Ruto. Even if let's assume Ruto took the suicide route, and they feel those two others, so they are three party leaders. So you have injured Gachagua and the Gema community. You have injured them. You have slighted them. Because let us be obvious. Let's be open and let's be open and sincere and speak the truth. Kikuyus believe they are the ones who made this government.
Yeah.
They don't even hide it. Do they hide it?
No.
They just say it.
Yeah.
Ama namna gani?
Kweli.
Si wanasema
Yeah.
ama ni uongo.
Kweli.
They give inside percentages.
Yes.
We gave you over 80% of the Gema votes. We gave you over 40% of the votes that made you president. They didn't even quote the figures. So if you bring Mudavadi and maybe somebody else, you can't bring two lawyers. You can't bring Wetangula and bring Mudavadi. You bring maybe Mudavadi,
And Kingi. Or...
maybe Kingi, or somebody else for that matter. It may be just be somebody else. Or you may decide, let's fill just one. You slight the Kikuyus, you injure the Kikuyus, you injure Rigathi Gachagua. So you have a snake you have not killed, but you have hit the tail. So it is really mad. It can bite everybody inside. But what does Mudavadi bring? He brings nothing to you. But that deputy party position, if he's one of the three, will not convince the Luyas Ruto is serious about the Luyas. The only way Ruto can convince the Luyas is by making Mudavadi the running mate. That one, he will get Luya votes. I dare say almost all the votes. Especially if Raila is not opposed to that. He will get all the Luya votes. You get it?
Yes.
He only needs to bring people like Winnie on board and the rest of these people and take care of the anger of Kalonzo Musyoka. He can still go back. But it is a very risky game. The risk is always there. And the risk, I want to repeat, is you have antagonized the gamer community. And that risk, if he had spoken to Moi before he died, he would have told him, never make that mistake. Before
we finish, I think people need to understand what is the importance of a deputy party leader, or we know the party leader, but the deputy party leader, because Cleophas Malala says it's a battle of succession. Is it really important when it comes to politics?
It is believed that if you are deputy president, you are just next to if anything can happen, you'll be president. And in any case, when the president is leaving, you stand a higher chance than anybody else. Equally, if you are deputy party leader, it is believed you are on your way to power.
Okay.
So if the space is being crowded by two other thugs around you, you can't be happy.
So this is why they have to amend that
constitution. And it's more perceived than real. There's really nothing in that. Nobody can come in, even Watangula, they can come in and be deputy party leaders. It won't really affect the substance. They won't match Gachagua. None of these fellows can match Gachagua. Is that right?
Yeah.
But the perception is what you have to deal with. And that perception will create anger. And you'll have to reckon with that anger. Remember, why did Azimio start celebrating? I went to vote in my village in Luombe. I actually had registered somewhere else. So I went and voted in a place called, Gamarenga. And within my constituency. As I was coming back to Nairobi, because my vote was worth 50,000 shillings. Right?
Yeah.
I flew to go and vote and flew back. So after voting around 3 o'clock, I was in Kisumu, headed to the airport. And I passed somewhere to have a cup of tea. Everybody was celebrating. They knew Raila had won. But you know the reason why? People had observed the turnout in Mount Kenya. And on the basis of that poor, almost non-existent turnout, people 100% sure Raila had won. And that's why many people believe, if there was any rigging, the doctoring was done in the turnout in Mount Kenya. And the weather was as if it was conspiring against Ruto. Yeah. It was very chilly in most parts of Mount Kenya. Yeah. It was rainy kidogo. Yes. And you would see 2-3 voters. Then now passes a snowball in the polling station. Then 2-3 old people trickle in. And everybody knew, with this less than 30-40% turnout, Ruto is cooked. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, the Gikuyus need not even vote against Ruto. They just need to have a poor turnout for him. If he antagonizes Gachagua. If you bring in 2 other deputy party leaders and you don't have the courage to remove Gachagua in 2027, so he remains your running mate. But you have already hurt the community. And then the community doesn't vote. You just still go home. You only need a formidable opponent. And Kalonzo then must be listening to me. Would you be that formidable opponent? Yes.
For him to take Ruto out.
Correct.
Thank you for tuning in to that conversation about UDA party. What does it mean when you have 3 deputy party leaders in UDA for 2027's election? Of course, I think we'll have a conversation about perception and rigging. Yes. I've mentioned something about that later in the future. But until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.